Hey folks, today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Enter offer code WTF at checkout to get 10% off. Also, I'm probably going to talk about this in a minute, but I'm going to say it now. My comedy special, More Later, is available starting today on Hulu and Amazon Prime.
Lock the gate!
All right, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies, what the fucksters, what's happening? I am Marc Maron. This is WTF. This is my podcast. Welcome to it. Today we have a great guest, Iliza Shlesinger. The comedian is going to be talking to me soon. She is she's an intense comic, and I've enjoyed watching her get funnier and become more of a fucking pro. I worked with her years ago down at the vine-covered La Jolla Comedy Store. Anyway, she'll be here in a little while. But I did want to say this. I was pretty excited about this, that I did a special. I did one a few years ago that's been on Netflix for years, Thinky Pain. I don't always know when people, what they get out of listening to me or going to my stand-up. And sometimes I don't know what people know me for, and it doesn't really matter. I'm fine with being a conversationalist on the podcast. I've been a comedian more than half my life. It's my first love and passion. I'm an amateur guitar player. I don't expect a lot of feedback for that. I do a TV show, but the point is that my special, my new one, More Later, which I was very proud of and I worked hard on, was released on Epix. It was produced by Epix. Bob Goldthwait directed it. And a lot of people don't have Epix. A lot of people could not see the special. It is still available on Epix. So if you want to get Epix, they have a lot of other stuff on. They're doing some original programming. There's more comedy on there. Get it. Get Epix. They did pay for the special. Epix did a fine job with it. They did whatever they could. They provided me everything I needed, and we had a great show recorded live at the Vic in Chicago. And I set out to do something differently on that special, and I'll just tell you, because the good news today is that, from what I understand, the special, More Later, my latest comedy special, is today, as of today, available on Hulu and on Amazon Prime. So that means a lot of you who couldn't see it, because I didn't even know where to direct you. If you didn't have Epix, if it wasn't available on your cable or whatever, I didn't know what to tell you. And I'll tell you why. Not the backstory, but what's different for me as a guy who does comedy, but is clearly at this point in my career a little more well known for this rambling and this talking to other people. But just give me a second, because we've got a new sponsor today, Movement. What is Movement? Is it some kind of spin class? Is it a political action committee? Is it a laxative? No, Movement sells watches. Watches that look great, are high quality, and are easy to afford. Check them out. They're a little crowd-funded brand that is revolutionizing the watch game. They're starting to get a lot of press from GQ, Playboy, Hypebeast. Ask Men said they are the hottest watch company on the market. They're all about the idea that high quality doesn't have to break the bank, and they actually deliver. Check them out on social media, and you'll see the satisfied customers among their 1 million followers. These are quality crafted watches starting at just $95. If you tried to get a watch like this at the department store, you'd be spending at least $400 to $500. Their style is minimalistic, clean, and sleek. So you could wear this thing at the office during the day or out at the bars at night or wherever you go. It's new, it's sharp, and it's an all-day wear. Go to mvmtwatches.com/Maron today. We're hooking you up with 15% off your entire purchase. That's mvmtwatches.com/Maron. They sent me one, nice gold one. It's nice. So check that out. Movement Watches. So why? The More Later special, I worked about a year and a half putting that set together, and I did something I had not done, that I had not ever done in my life. I had this fantasy in my mind. I always work kind of loose, and I like working loose, and I don't even mind doing that on TV. Obviously, if you're doing, here's the way it breaks down. Like, if you got to do a Conan set or a Tonight Show set or, used to be Letterman or, Kimmel. Whenever you got to stand up on a stage, on television, on one of those shows, you get about 4.5 minutes. That's about, for me, 5 or 6 jokes. You got to tighten that thing up. You got to take the jokes out of context. You got to make that thing work in a 4.5 minute chunk. That's no easy trick, but as a comic who wants to do television, that's part of your job. Now, when you do a slightly longer set, like a premium blend, or maybe you get your own half-hour comedy special, it behooves you to structure the thing, but you got a little more opening. You can move through stories. You can connect the dots. You got a little more freedom, but it still has to be tight, and you should know where you're going. When you do an hour, you got a couple of options. Now, I've done several CDs, and they can be a lot looser because you can cut those down and edit those a little more precisely and move through a few shows. But when you got an hour, like I did Thinky Pain. For instance, Thinky Pain was probably about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. I did that for Netflix, and I went out of my way to stay loose and to move through things that I was working on and things that were tight, but none of it was new. With More Later, I wanted to do a big theater show. Thinky Pain was for about 250 people. It was a small club, and I wanted it to be that way. I wanted to have that intimacy, and I wanted to have a loose vibe. But with More Later, I really worked the material. I did a tight hour or so, maybe a little longer, but I repeated it, I crafted it, and I wanted it to have points of reference that I called back later. It was really, I put a lot of work into it, and a lot of professional comic work and the type of crafting of a special that I don't usually do necessarily. Or maybe I just don't say I do it, but this was conscious. And I wanted to do it in a theater, which I was not a fan of. I'm not a huge fan of theater shows because I don't think they necessarily are as intimate as they could be. But there was part of me that said, look, dude, you can make a large space intimate. Just, focus. So the reason I want everyone to see it, aside from the fact that I did it and it's a comedy special, is that I worked hard on it. And it was on Epix, and some people saw it, but most people didn't. And now it's on Hulu and Amazon Prime, and I'd like you to watch it. So that's my plug for me. All right? What else can I tell you? I'm just having some feelings. It's not because I'm old, but I don't have kids, and I don't have a wife, and I've had them, not kids, but wives, and I'm very happy to say that, recently, I've had friends who have had children who have had some difficulties, relatives as well, and I get very invested in my friends' children and in them, and for a guy that used to be so selfish, somehow or another, and I guess this is the point of it, is that the more okay you are with yourself and the more able you are to sort of be in your own body and live your own life without deciding that it's not the life you want to live all the time or it's not quite right, it makes you a little more emotionally available to experience some of the joys I imagine normal people have, people who have responsibilities and have had their own children and, have to deal with that every day. But I just found myself very moved recently by some progress that my brother's kid made and my friend's kid made. I literally get choked up when obstacles are overcome by other people's kids. And I don't even know why I'm telling you this. I think I'm just happy that that my heart is connected properly. It only took 50 years, but be nice to each other, will you? It's very hard now, We got a lot of things coming at us all the time. It's just an onslaught of garbage. And I don't know, man. It's just when I really think about, when I pull out, because I can't keep up with anything. I barely keep up with, with politics, with pop culture. I'm very busy. And when I check in, it's sort of it doesn't take long to get caught up because a lot of it is just this onslaught of garbage. At some point, we've got to pull ourselves away to really decide where our hearts are aligned. What does it really mean? The decisions you're making about the future of yourself, about the rest of the day, about your country. I mean, how much distance are you taking to really think it through without being pummeled by propaganda, by information, by other people's ideas? I mean, do you really know for yourself what the right thing is for reasons that make sense? I mean, do you take the time to do that? How many of your own thoughts do you really have? I mean, if you really think about what the amount of information and the amount of access that we have is doing to our memories. I mean, is there a reason to even have a memory anymore? Do you have your own personal memories? How much of them have been annihilated by this short-term cancer of immediate access to any information? And, like porn, too. Porn is just, somehow if you're not careful, it can annihilate your ability to interact intimately with another human being. And just information in general. It's just in your pocket, on your phone, on your computer. It's coming at you. It's coming at you. And most of our fucking identity these days, and I imagine kids who grew up with this stuff are a little more adept at that, but most of our identity is based on, how we reckon with the onslaught of information and how we can find our own thoughts within it. Sometimes I talk to people and I tell them things, and a week later they tell them back to me like they thought of them themselves. What is that? That's because there's too much information coming in and you can't separate it. All you're doing is, sponging up and taking in, and it feels like you're thinking, but I don't know if you're thinking. I mean, fortunately, I'm too exhausted and too anxious to engage with the pace of everything on a day-to-day basis, and I try to figure out what the fuck I'm thinking. Am I having my own thoughts? Am I having my own ideas? Do I have things that I like that are truly mine? I believe I do. I'm working on it. We're sponsored today by Casper Mattresses. That's good because I'm tired too. Casper Mattresses obsessively engineered American-made mattresses at a shockingly fair price. And now you can get $50 toward any mattress purchase by going to Casper.com/WTF and using the code WTF. You know who uses Casper? Me. I'm sleeping on a queen-sized Casper, and it's great, folks. And you know who else uses Casper? My producer, Brendan. He just moved, and he needed a new mattress, and so he got a Casper because he's heard about it on this show. And he also has some part in putting this copy together. So WTF is now officially staffed only by Casper users. Why not join us? Get Casper for its special combo of latex foam and memory foam. And they've got a risk-free trial and return policy. They'll deliver it straight to you. You can try it for 100 days, and if you're not happy, they'll pick it back up. Sleep on it, literally, get it in your house, and try it out and see if you like it. It's $500 for a twin-sized mattress and $950 for a king. You're not going to beat that at the leading mattress sellers. So get $50 toward any mattress purchase by going to Casper.com/WTF and using code WTF. Terms and conditions apply. Iliza Shlesinger is my guest today. And you can see her new show, Separation Anxiety, premieres on March 8th on TBS. And now let's talk to Iliza. You good?
Yeah.
What are you going to just get all quiet now?
No.
Because we're on the mic and it's going to shut down?
Yeah, I get just shit in my pants right before.
Oh, come on.
Whenever I follow you at the store, because I've been bringing you up for almost maybe 6 years now.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I think I always
go back and forth.
Yeah.
I've brought you up before.
Our energies are so different.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever you are offset, like I almost have to like do a smudge stick because I'm like I can't match that.
Well, that's the best approach.
Totally.
I mean I've done the other approaches like I'll just jump into that. Mm-hmm. Fucking no, you can't do that.
You can't.
But what do you mean? I have you're intense and full of energy.
Super intense and full of energy. Like I move around a lot. When I see you on the stage, you're almost always in a fetal position, whether erect or horizontal. Yeah. And it's so introspective and it's like real shit and it's a lecture. And I'm like,
a lecture.
I gotta make sure I get in
then
on the
you come up and you're just like, boom.
I'm like,
blow it up.
Blow it up.
Well, I mean, the first time I worked with you was what, in La Jolla. Like, what, were you a child?
Yeah, it was my bat mitzvah gift.
Yeah, when was that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even remember that.
Yes, how could you not remember?
Were you headlining?
Yeah, and you were in the middle. It had to have been like...
It had to have been 2007.
Right.
Yeah.
That long ago. So you were kind of like a child, in a way.
I don't and I feel so... Like I'm big timing you by not remembering.
No, but I remember like your hair was different. It was. I think your family was there.
Was Nick Youssef with us?
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I remember this now. I forgot that you were headlining. I was so nervous. It was my first time going there.
Yeah.
And And my family came, and I remember, I think I texted you and Nick, and I was like, we're going to go to dinner if anyone wants to come. Like, I didn't know the protocol. Or I don't think I texted you. I was like, what can I say to Marc Maron? Nothing.
Yeah.
Texted Nick. He didn't want. I was like, I guess I shouldn't bother anyone. I was so...
Oh,
because it was such like a big
Are we
deal.
all part of the same team?
I didn't know. I wasn't staying in the condo. Was I? I don't even think I was.
I don't think I was. I think I drove back and forth.
Yeah, and now it could not be less of a big deal.
Well, wait. What was your family doing in San Diego?
My dad had driven down with my uncle, and my brother was like, I'll come because it's free food, and they did a thing.
And it was your first, what wasn't your first comedy club gig?
No, but it was my first time in La Jolla.
Uh-huh.
As having my own spot.
What's amazing about La Jolla is how was she able to reconstruct that dark, shitty energy and dump it onto a beach?
Move it to a beautiful place.
It's unbelievable.
Miles away. It is, maybe because it's a little removed from the beach and it's in a shitty old building.
I know, but that building is not that old. It's just like it's covered in ivy.
Yeah, it looks like a steakhouse.
Right, like the earth wants to take it back. It's like, how is that the haunted, most shitty looking place in the area?
Yeah, it's the energy of the comics.
It is. I don't know what it is. It was something like, it does feel exactly like her. Like that's how you realize that Mitzi had this weird power to bring that design and that dark. You walk in and it's just dark and weird.
The whole theme, the whole Comedy Store, it's black and red.
Black and
colors.
red. Yeah, the colors
Severe.
of Satan.
Yeah. And inside, the colors of our Lord.
Yeah.
And inside is like that weird Spanish tile.
Yeah.
Like inside looks like the lobby of a Mexican restaurant, like an old one.
In La Jolla.
Yeah.
Right, in the bar area.
Yeah.
But isn't it carpeted in the showroom? Like the stage is kind of shitty.
It is shitty.
A shitty red curtain or a black curtain, I can't remember.
This is a terrible story, but that was the first club where I almost got into a physical altercation with an audience member.
With a chick or a dude?
I thought it was a dude making noise.
Yeah.
It was like the last 5 minutes of the set. It's the
worst.
It's the worst. You're like, if you only knew how close we were.
Yeah. So almost out. I didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah. And
or me.
Or myself. And he's making all these noises, and he was doing it, audience. Sometimes they do it to get attention.
Yeah.
And I just snapped.
Oh,
I think at the time I lacked the comedic skills to properly deal with it or to really stand up for myself.
I bet you're great at snapping.
I saw red.
I bet.
I jumped into the audience, which is a foot drop from the stage.
Yeah.
I threw tables. I pushed them out of the way.
Got right in there.
I got in there, and the guy gave up his girl. He goes, "It's her," thinking,
right.
I don't know.
Threw her right under the bus.
And all I remember thinking was, if I hit her, I'm in trouble. But if I get her to hit me, she's in trouble. So
and I can hit her.
I bopped her.
You did?
Bopped her on the shoulder.
No, that was it?
What am I going to do?
I don't know.
I went to private school. What am I going to do? Punch her?
No, but I mean, were you saying you fucking cunt?
No, I go, what's your fucking problem? And I bopped her, trying to get her to hit me back. And then they broke it up. But I was amped. I was like, I will see you in the parking lot. And Mark Ellis was like, no, we're not going to the parking lot.
Oh, my God.
I was so angry.
Where did that happen a lot on stage for you?
That has not happened before. I've definitely, and I don't do this anymore.
How long ago was that?
Oh, God, maybe 2010, 2011.
Because you're all full of the beans up there. You're jumping around, you're talking fast, you're making voices.
It's like church. It's like a Baptist church.
No, but you're smart and you fucking lay out the words.
Yeah.
And you got, good observations. You have you have a momentum. I can only imagine that you, in some sort of weird rage, would be nothing but entertaining to comedians.
Entertaining, sure. I think also there's that, you have that energy, and when someone deigns to interrupt you in the middle of this freight train.
Right. No, I know. Believe me. You're talking, I know. But
I fear for the person who interrupts you.
No, I used to snap all the fucking time. I have to consciously, sometimes at the store, and depending on how much coffee I've had, I mean, it can still happen.
Yeah.
Because when you're up there and you feel like an audience is either resistant or difficult to manage, and there's part of you that wants to fucking unload, but it ultimately doesn't have anything to do with them.
Right. It's all you.
Yeah, but you want to do it.
You want to do it, and you want to. I don't get angry anymore if they don't laugh at a joke that empirically works. If this is I will just be like, that is a network approved joke, and you're wrong for not laughing. Moving on. And they like that. They like that a little bit of abuse.
I think that having some meta commentary about what you're doing to sort of protect yourself from their judgment.
It changes the energy, and then they get on your side.
Yeah.
I have 2 stock lines that I use.
Yeah.
And to address that they're not laughing the way I want them to, and it usually shakes them out. They're like, oh, I better pay attention. while I'm ordering my drinks. And they do, and they get with it.
You just have, you got, you're a big build person. You're big going build. Somewhere.
There's a destination to this ride.
There's going to be a closure, a defined closure.
Just sit tight, folks. Don't fuck with it, and we'll get you there.
So 2007, that's when I work with you down there. So it's weird. It's like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I can't do that math. I trust you when you said 8.
Right? But, I mean, how old are you?
I'm 32.
Isn't that wild?
I judge it all. I mean, to be doing that, I remember Last Comic Standing was 2008, so I can always remember what came on either side of that.
Yeah, but where did you come from?
Where did I come from?
Yeah, I mean, why? Because, back then, I'm like, she seems to have something. Why don't I know her?
Thank you.
And then I feel like I didn't see you for, a couple of years.
And
then, all of a sudden, you had long hair, and you were grown up, and you were pretty, and you had a dog. And I'm like, what the fuck happened to that?
The hair was extensions, because I was on a TV show.
Oh, because, when I remember you, for some reason, it was almost feathered in my mind.
It was not feathered. It wasn't Tommy. Feathered. I'm not Tom Petty.
Right.
Although my hair does look... I'll show you when we're done. I'll take my hair down, and I'll lay it flat.
Yeah.
I have the worst white trash haircut. It just grows into this, feathered...
Right, so I'm not...
It wasn't, though. You're remembering it wrong.
Really?
I had very short hair.
Right,
I'm remembering that weekend.
Yeah.
I had very short hair. And that's it. And then after the show, I went on tour for a very long time. And then that was the beginning of that. So.
But where'd you come from originally?
I'm from Dallas.
Ugh.
But I didn't start doing stand-up till I got to L.A.
So you grew up in Dallas, Texas?
Did you say, after I said that?
I've grown to like Texas.
People, that's the first reaction. It's a knee-jerk thing. People like to shit on it, but it's a lovely place.
I grew up in New Mexico.
Oh, so my God, really?
Yeah, so we were your neighbors. So we had to deal with you in your ski outfits. Right.
In Ruidoso. I've been there.
Ruidoso or Taos or Santa Fe.
Sure.
Yeah, so my Texas...
It's a regional word.
Bias was based on obnoxious behavior on ski slopes primarily. So what was the deal in Dallas? How many brothers and sisters?
I have one brother.
Younger?
My brother is 2 years younger, and he spends half of his year in Northern California growing acres of medical marijuana. And then he spends the other half of the year in Atlanta working in music.
Parents are very proud. You both turned out so well with secure employment and education.
Here's what my dad said about my brother the other day. My dad works for Principal Financial. I have a half-brother and a half-sister as well. And my dad calls me, and he goes on a big trip every year for Principal Financial. Yeah. They're top guys, and he calls, and he's in New York, June. He goes, last year it was in Mexico, and you didn't come. I'm like, of course not. I'm not going on a family vacation. I'm a grown woman. I vote. I've got a mortgage. I'm not going. Yeah. Last year it was in Mexico. You didn't come. The year before was in the Bahamas. This year, Emily can't come, and Brad is in college, and Ben, well, he's a felon, so he doesn't have a passport. So you're invited.
Did you go?
No, I'm not going.
He's a felon?
He's a felon. Your brother's a felon. We know what he is. And
is he really?
Sure.
Oh, you mean just he just can't get a passport?
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I think he's in the clear now.
Oh, good.
He's a good guy.
So your dad migrated from Jews in New York to Texas.
To Texas. There's Jews in Dallas.
Yeah. No, there's Jews in Texas.
Yeah.
The Texas Jews, we call them.
But there's not a lot of them, and I don't think growing up it was you didn't feel part of it.
But so did he move there with your mom?
Yeah, my parents, I was born in New York City, and my parents are New Yorkers, and then when I was 8 months old, we moved to Dallas.
Oh, it's your whole life.
My whole life. I wish I could say born and raised, but I kind of like that I was born in New York.
Yeah, you got to.
I always thought you were from New York.
I was born in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another state people love to hate.
Yeah, that's true.
It's actually a very pretty state.
It's a great state. And a lot of good things come from New Jersey. New Jersey is like the heartland in a way for rock and roll and a lot of stuff. Bruce Springsteen.
And the other one. Oh. With the 3 songs. Bon Jovi.
Yes, Bon Jovi.
That's it, right?
Yeah, that's enough.
That's enough. That's 2, though. It's enough.
But did you have family in New York? Did you have a connection to at least you could go to see your grandparents or something?
We would go. We would visit my aunt and uncles, and my grandma lived there for a while, my aunts and uncles, and then they moved here. What I always think is so weird.
They moved to California?
To
Dallas?
No, to Dallas.
Oh, really?
Well.
They wanted to be close to you.
No. My parents got divorced.
Yes, yeah.
And then my mom's parents had moved. Everyone moved, the whole mishpacha, as they'll call it, moved to Dallas. I always think it's so weird when you look at a family's attempt to exist.
Yeah.
And how that dissipates throughout time. Like, you have your parents, and they were your age once, my age, I guess. They were young
weird,
ones.
Right?
And they did the best they could.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out, and just all the things that befall those efforts. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You're being very diplomatic and mature about this.
Well, I just think, like, my aunt, for example.
Yeah. Your father's sister?
My father's sister.
Yeah.
My dad's family has, like, the dorkiest names.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. His name's Fred,
Yeah.
Arthur, Jerry, Lois, Thelma. Like,
nice.
The worst names.
Yeah.
Like the kind of names like an immigrant gives to their children because they don't know they're dorky.
Right. Or they want them to be American sounding.
Right.
Better than Jacob, Judith.
Right. Just at least it's not, I mean, I guess it was other time. But I always think about like my dad. So he lived here, and my Aunt Lois, she was nice, and she was married to my Uncle Cliff, who's a piece of shit. And they lived in Florida, and we would visit them, and once in a while, and then they lived on Long Island, and like these are just memories you have.
Yeah.
And then one day my aunt got sick. And my Uncle Cliff, without telling anyone, just decided to move the whole family to Dallas, thinking that my dad would like help take care of it.
Right.
And then she died like 3 months later.
Oh, it's sad.
But it's weird because like that's like a chunk of your life and your family gone. No one talks about it. She's got kids, but like they were not really communicative. It's just so weird to see a whole branch of a family crumble off.
Yeah. And you didn't see them anymore?
I saw them when they were kids, and I don't live in Dallas now.
But you didn't grow up with them, kind of? They happened later.
And they're much younger than me. They're like 11 years younger than me.
Oh, it's so sad.
It's just weird.
I mean, it's very hard to sort of assess. Like, my mother was 22 when she had me.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Were your parents young?
No, my mom, I think, was 32 when she got married.
That's reasonable.
It's reasonable.
My parents are a different generation.
Are they baby boomers?
Yeah. They would definitely be they're old baby boomers.
My mom's like 60... She's going to kill me. 60-something, 67.
Yours are baby boomers.
She's a baby boomer. My dad's younger than my mom.
I think my parents are like the generation right before.
So between the greatest generation of the baby boomers, what was there?
The almost baby boomers.
Just like still kind of reeling from the Depression?
Yeah, a little bit. But it's so weird to think your parents as kids. I still have a hard time being empathetic. I think is really sort of what we're saying here. Like, how come your parents, what was the divorce? Messy? How old were you?
I was 7, but like whatever.
Really? Were they
I
just across town from each other?
When they got a divorce?
Well, I mean, did they live in Dallas? Everyone lived in Dallas?
My dad moved away.
He did?
My dad got an apartment, which was cool because he always had Fresca, and we didn't have soda in my house. He always had soda, because when you get a divorce, Dad will buy you all the junk food.
Yeah, just so you'll hang out.
And just so you're happy, and he doesn't care. He's a man. What's he going to, like, buy you, like, special Lactaid and stuff? He doesn't care. And then my dad and my stepmom moved to Connecticut. And then I got to spend some summers there.
What part?
Stamford.
Really?
Like a nice part of it.
Yeah.
Like it had a nice yard.
Yeah. So he left. So he's not in Dallas anymore.
He moved back. Moved back for my brother, who needed like a father figure as we...
Got to help that kid?
Got to do something.
Well, that's fucking selfless of him.
I mean, who knows? Who knows the real reason? But I mean, my brother then left my house and went to go live with my dad, so I kind of became like an only child.
Yeah.
My brother was like a couple blocks away.
You were with your mom?
It was my mom, my stepdad.
How's that guy?
He's the best.
Oh, good.
Randy's great.
And how's your stepmom?
She's great, too.
Oh, well.
I really lucked out.
Yeah.
Like, they both are really lovely people.
And does your mom's husband have kids?
Yeah.
And your dad's wife has kids?
Well, they had kids. My dad and his wife had kids together.
Okay, so you have a half-brother.
Yeah, and my stepdad had 3 kids from previous. I mean, they're older than me.
Oh, my God.
But we don't all get together. Like, there was like 1 or 2 family vacations with my stepdad and his kids, but for the most part, like, it was just me.
Yeah.
Like siblings if I wanted them, like rent a sibling.
So you grew up mostly with your mom?
Yeah.
In Dallas?
In Dallas.
Now let me try to project a personality on you.
Okay.
You're very entertaining and full of energy. You had to have been a jock, right?
So here's why it's a complicated question. Because I had a very, not bizarre, but it was atypical. I went to a private school. I went to a very competitive college preparatory private school.
Yeah.
So, there was only 100 kids in our grade.
Mm-hmm.
So in your high school itself, there was about 400 kids.
Yeah.
So while we were really competitive, and we played football, and we had sports, and did all that stuff.
You played football?
I played football. Our school, because everyone thinks Texas, they're like, was it like Friday Night Lights? While our sports meant everything to us, we weren't in a conference with like huge high schools.
Right.
So, and we didn't have...
You were in like the rich kid private school conference?
Yeah, it's called the Southwestern Preparatory Conference. We took it very seriously. So while it was like almost like a microcosm of experiences,
right.
no one got beaten up because everyone was there on their own academic merit. No one was there
because of sports.
For the most part, we would
Right.
bus kids in, but you had to hang. We did. It was a little racist,
Really?
but it was fine.
Yeah.
You give kids a chance, and
Yeah.
so I played sports. In private school, you get to play.
Yeah.
You get to be on the team.
Yeah.
You may not be on varsity, but you get to be on one of the teams.
Right.
So I always played, and then I played lacrosse, and I was on varsity because it was a brand new sport.
Lacrosse.
I played lacrosse, and I
with
swam.
the little netted baskets. And you got to move it back and
Move
forth.
it back and forth. The inertia keeps it in.
And you got that?
I got that. I was defense, so I
Yeah.
didn't have to. I hated running. I stayed by the goal.
So you're tough. You're.
It's a tough sport,
Yeah.
and I very much enjoyed.
What was
being
you? And you were a
aggressive.
swimmer.
I swam.
What was your stroke?
Breaststroke.
That was mine too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You swam?
I did.
What's your split time?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
All I know is that I didn't do it at school. I did it in part of a swim club.
Okay.
So I
you were
competed.
good.
Well, no, I don't know if I was good. I had a B time in the 50 breast. Never
Okay.
an A time.
Never an A time.
No, but I did all right.
You were in the second heat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just I've never been able to function competitively.
I think for swimming.
It's very life or death for me. Losing is just terrifying. I feel
Really?
like
It is.
but I think
is.
people who learn how to play sports can handle losing better.
First of all, I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And, you look, especially in comedy, most comics didn't play sports. And while I wasn't winning any awards and scholarships, it still teaches you're a little more well-rounded than the others.
I completely agree with that. And I've said many times on this show that if you have kids, get them into some sort of sport so they can understand losing.
You can understand losing. You understand what it's like to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
In terms of swimming, you were never going to be good at swimming unless you started from a young age.
Right.
The kids that we started, they are all like, I did a swim club when I was 10, and it sticks with them.
Right.
That's a skill, you have to hone from a very young age.
Yeah, I was never good at backstroke.
That's only for meaty, tall women.
Yeah.
That's not the way the body should move. I don't know what Nazi invented the backstroke to get from point A to point B.
Couldn't do it.
What's behind me?
I'd always turn over before I got to the edge and fucking get disqualified.
Yes.
The worst.
They tell you, they're like, you just know where the edge is because your hand hits it. I'm like, my hand is going
hurt.
15 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna really break something.
No, I didn't.
I fucked it all up.
Yeah.
So you're lacrosse and swimming.
I did those.
Pretty jockey.
They're the sports. I didn't play field hockey. Basketball was tiring. I tried. I went to KU my freshman year before I transferred to Emerson.
KU, what's that?
University of Kansas.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought when I got there, because I was like, school's a piece of cake. I'll play some sports.
Right.
I walked onto their lacrosse team. It was like a club team.
Right.
Because they didn't have a school team, and I played rugby for 1 week. So I did both of those. And
Rugby, these are tough sports.
That's why I stopped.
Yeah.
Those girls are corn-fed, 6 feet tall, fifth-year seniors. We're going to block with our necks. I'm I'm not doing this for free. And then lacrosse, I remember I showed up hungover to one practice, and we're running drills, and I was like, I don't need this. I'm not getting any money for this sport. I don't fucking need this. To play anything. You're not helping with tuition. Why am I killing myself to play with a bunch of lesbians? This is so weird. I quit.
How Jewish were you brought up?
I had a bat mitzvah.
Yeah, and that was it?
I had confirmation. I went to Sunday school. I went to Israel when I was 16.
God, you did the whole thing.
Did the whole thing, but...
How was Israel for you? What's your dog doing? What's the dog's name?
Dog's name is Blanche.
Hey, Blanche. Hi, Blanche.
She's just wondering what's going on.
Wait, you're one of these people that carries your dog around. You accessorize with a dog.
No, hold on. I don't carry the dog. You got cats, and I prefer that my dog not dismember your cats in your own home.
Oh, you're overestimating your dog and underestimating my cats.
That one with the one eye.
The gray cat, LaFonda, would rip this dog apart. It would rip him apart, her.
Blanche.
When did you start doing this dog thing?
I got the dog when I started touring. And I was like, I'm going to tour by myself.
You brought the dog on the road? Is this a service dog?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is?
Sure.
How do
I get the letter from a doctor? That's it.
Isn't a service dog just a dog after a certain point?
It's total bullshit. But what I believe is even more bullshit is that the airline charges you at all to take your pet on the plane. I have a whole theory about this because people get very angry that it's a service dog because people have service pigs. The whole thing's out of control. An airline will charge you.
Is there a service pig?
Oh, that was a whole thing on the news a couple months ago.
I am so out of the loop with the important topics.
They're just clickable headlines on the side of
service
Gawker.
Pig.
Service pig. The airline, I have an issue, not with rules, but the airlines will charge you $100 to $150 to bring a pet. Okay?
What if you put it in a box and put it in cargo?
You don't do that.
No more. No one does that anymore, right?
Unless you're shipping a horse.
Right.
You don't do that.
You can ship a horse?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do it all the time.
No,
I don't
they
know.
can't. No, they put them in the horse carriers.
I think that's been sort of like it's sort of frowned upon.
Before we get all up on your soapbox about the justice.
The injustice
of charging for a dog. I want to know what the prescription for this fucking dog is.
What do you mean? Like
what did the doctor write you?
It is the language is something like diagnosed with a low-grade anxiety disorder, and this dog is this patient is under my care, and this dog is part of her therapy.
A low-grade anxiety disorder.
I'm paraphrasing low-grade anxiety, but it has to do with anxiety.
Generalized anxiety.
Generalized, because you don't want to give me something that, like, if I run for mayor one day, they'll be like, it says on here that you're bipolar.
You're schizophrenic, and you need a dog to talk to.
So, I mean, I do. So she gave me something really, like, we all have anxiety.
Yeah.
But,
have you ever been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder?
On the paper.
No, but I mean, was that from a...
I've never seen a psychiatrist.
Never seen a psychiatrist. You're so fucking well-adjusted, Eliza.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? Like,
I don't know about that.
You're just like grounded and fucking jockey and, doing the fucking thing.
It's not at all. I'll tell you something.
I want to know how you're fucked up.
I'll tell you right now. I can't. This hit me this morning. I have this thing where I go on dates with people and I like immediately don't want to see them after we have like an intimate experience.
How
not
intimate?
Sex, not even sex.
Just like making out in the car?
Yeah,
like dry humping, hand job, oral? What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, fine.
I think also because they annoy me, I get turned off very quickly, and it's not a rational thing, but if I don't get a text that I like or an answer that I like or I think they're being rude, I'm like, fine,
done.
Later, bye. One time I blocked a number because a guy said something that I didn't like.
Really?
I was like, I don't want to deal with you ever.
He said that? Or you just blocked him? And this is after one date?
We went on a couple dates. I've told this story on my own podcast, but I will say this.
What's your own podcast called?
It's called Truth and Eliza.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm aware of the fact that I told the story. We went out 4 times.
Yeah.
Lovely dates. Cool guy. Whatever.
What do you do?
He's in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And just to speed things along for funsies, I was like...
Real estate wasn't a fucking red flag?
Is it?
Real estate.
But it's not like douchey real estate, like I couldn't be a personal trainer, so now I'm in real estate. It's like legitimate. I didn't ask.
So you're saying it's high-end douchey real estate? You mean it's not desperate real estate?
He had other hobbies.
Douchey real estate.
Real estate, personal trainer, and jewelry maker. All three of those say to me the first option didn't work out.
It used to be travel agent, yoga instructor, Pilates instructor.
That just says acting didn't work.
Sure, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Some of those people are very helpful.
He's fine.
But
so whatever. I'm very okay with my body. I sent him not a topless picture, but like a half. Like a shirt, like under boob kind of picture.
Yeah.
Right? Just to be like, hey, like,
look, here are my boobs.
Yeah. Fucking. And I can't get over this to this day. He wrote back, me likey that picture a long time.
Uh-huh.
And I almost threw my phone in the toilet.
What a mistake for the non-comedic personality to try to be funny.
It's not, but it's hacky.
Yeah.
Like, you're taking that from Full Metal Jacket. It's hacky.
Yeah.
And I didn't answer, and then he wrote, hero.
Yeah. Hero? Come on.
And I couldn't, so I didn't answer anything. And then the next day he wrote, why you no like me? And I was like, why are you talking in Asian baby talk?
I guess with the text he didn't quite understand that he was bombing.
Oh, but right. You couldn't hear the cacophonous silence.
Right. And that's also, isn't that like something that was said in relation to a prostitute? Like, me love you long time?
Yeah, it was a Vietnamese prostitute.
Right.
Right.
So that had other connotations.
Just so many things.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to see where this is going to go.
Well, what was the last long-term relationship you had?
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know. Why does everybody want to know these things?
I don't. I never talk about this. I'm trying to find out what makes you human.
Okay. We should have done a pre-interview. What makes me relatable?
I know it makes you relatable, but you do a lot of material about your experience dating, about like, and it relates, and a lot of women can relate to it.
Sure.
But what's the longest relationship you ever had?
I've been in a couple of year-long relationships.
Year-long?
Yeah, and the last long one was about 6 months, and I ended that in March.
How'd you end that one?
I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It wasn't working. That was one of the slower, more adult, like, drawn out, like, we broke up, and then we hung out, and then...
It's hard, right?
That one was just because he was so available and so good-looking. But ultimately...
God, those are horrible complaints. How'd you live through it?
I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to hear him. I didn't want to hear his answers.
Oh, really?
Questions. Well, could you date like a playmate? Could Marc Maron date a playmate? No.
I've been hypnotized by irrational beauty before.
And then what happens after the hypnosis wears off?
Well, what ultimately happens for me when I dated, I married her, I became...
How'd that work out?
Well, it didn't, but it wasn't me. Like, I became very possessive. I became, very sort of like, I don't know if it's obsessive, but I didn't understand relationship. You know, like that there's like another person there that has...
But for real.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and I think the older you get and the more, I don't want to say hardened, but the wider your eyes are open to the realities of situations. Some dude scolded me yesterday, not dating him. He's like, you never asked me what I'm up to or what I'm doing. I'm like, we're not dating. I don't care what you're doing. And I think sometimes I display male traits.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you need to just be more open. I'm like, don't you think women get tired of being vulnerable all the time?
Wait, how about a little?
He's like, ask me about my dog.
How about a little?
You have to earn it. Not you.
How long does it take to earn the openness, Eliza?
You ever put your hand out, you see a dog and you put your hand out and you let him smell your hand?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay.
But if you're coming at me with like lines and weird, like you have to, and you're, as a comic, you have to like suss people out. Like some people are... Me likey long time? Like, I don't want to tell you my deepest secrets. Look what you said to me, you fucking maniac.
Well, I think maniac's a little much. Maybe
maniac.
Maybe bore or
bore.
Yeah.
But here's the other trade-off. So you can spend your life analyzing these things and looking for imperfections and all that stuff. The other side, I was out last night.
Yeah.
I was talking to a very attractive man at a bar. And
you go to bars?
I went out. Jody Miller came with me to feature in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out last night because it's fun. But for the most part, I don't go out when I'm on the road.
Well, you just do a one-nighter?
No, we were there the weekend.
At Zany's?
At Zany's.
It's great, right?
I love it.
It's great. I love Nashville.
I love Nashville.
Yeah.
I love country music.
Yeah.
So what's weird is like you come off stage, right? And you're a rock star, and people want your picture, and they bring you gifts, and it's like this amazing thing. And the club, I wanted to go to this club called Acme. So Zany's called and they were like, oh, we went ahead, we called over for you.
Yeah.
No problem. There'll be a line. Just go to the front of it and say who you are.
Right.
And I was like, cool. You know what? I don't give things chances. I'll go.
Yeah.
So
I need
went with
special
my
treatment too.
I don't want to wait in line.
I don't either. I won't go anywhere.
Just as a girl, I don't want to wait in line.
I just won't go. I can't get to the front of the line usually. I can get on lists occasionally, but I don't like it.
You can get in.
All right.
Come on. You interviewed the president. Let's get serious.
Yeah, I'll drop that at the Troubadour.
Bring this little bubble of things.
Yeah, my little glass dome.
And I walk up to the guy,
yeah.
and I just went, hi, we're from, and not even using my name because I didn't expect him to know who I was. I went, hi, we're from Zany's. And he wouldn't even look at me. He goes, don't know. And I was like, oh, God, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I was like, we're the comedians from Zany's, and they called. He's like, don't know what you're talking about. I go, really? The word Zany's means nothing to you? And the anger is bubbling up inside me. And especially as a comic, you're like, what is the meanest thing I can say to you to make you want to kill yourself when you get home?
Oh,
you
good.
buckstick with like a control fantasy. Anyways, I just went, okay.
That was it? You didn't say Iliza Shlesinger?
No, I didn't want him to know that I was the one cursing his name as I walked away. And my tail between my legs, we just went to another bar.
What?
What was I supposed to say?
Well, this anger to me is very compelling.
I was angry.
I know.
But then I really thought about it.
Where'd you dump that anger later? You just sucked it up? Come on. All right, so...
Where did I dump it? I came up with a couple of insults in my head, and then I felt
wrote them down, made note of those lines.
You know, you're attractive, but in a big city, you'd be about a 4.
Yeah, good. Nice one.
Hey, when you're coaching your CrossFit class tomorrow, hope you think of your choices.
Oh, zing.
Anyway, I didn't say any of that.
So what happened at that bar? So you said you were out at the bar. You had
go to the bar.
cocktails.
Well, my point is, so you can spend your life analyzing relationships and looking for someone to mentally stimulate you.
That's what you do with your act.
Yeah, but it's very hard to separate the two.
Okay.
If it's an authentic act.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you understand that.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is you can spend your life, and you do.
I try not to.
Okay.
Really try. My point is, I just end up talking to somebody very attractive, Army. He's from the Army, infantry, obviously, because he was retarded, but so hot. And I remember thinking, like, this is the other choice. You could just be the girl with the hot boyfriend, and you probably have great sex, but there's not much else there except for, like, your love of, like, Fridays.
Mm-hmm. Could you do that?
No.
I don't know why you go to Fridays. I mean, there are, like, and let's acknowledge that the word retarded is not a great word to use. I understand.
It's a good word.
I know it's a good word, but I choose not to use it, but you're fine with it.
He was not smart.
Okay. But have you ever done that? Have you ever dated a dude that was... I never talk about dating, and I don't know
We don't have
why.
to talk about it.
I like talking about it, because I've never done it in my life.
Dated?
No, I usually meet somebody in a in a way that they know me or no, don't close up on me.
No, I'm not. I'm agreeing with you.
So that's why I'm just justifying talking about it. But you can't seem to maintain a relationship for more than a year.
But I don't think that's
very low tolerance.
But the low tolerance thing, and I think
you're quick and you're smart and you're agile mentally, physically.
I don't think men enjoy these things.
Maybe that's true.
But that's not, and to say I can't maintain it. I dated one guy who turned out to be a sociopath. I couldn't.
Really?
For real.
Or are you just throwing that word around?
No, for real. Like
what were the indicators?
I did a This Is Not Happening about it. I wrote an article about it.
Yeah.
Wrote a screenplay about it.
Really?
Really got to get it out. Like a real one.
Yeah.
So.
No conscience. No capacity for empathy.
Ice cold. Everything.
Always? From the beginning?
At first, it was sort of this like Downton Abbey-ish sort of area. I just kind of like.
Yeah.
Held back. I don't know. Like to me, he was smart.
Yeah.
And he was almost regal and just very cutting and witty.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
Right.
And he was very kind to me. He wasn't like if I fell, he would be like, "Oh, are you okay?" But then it turned out he had lied about everything. But to have something like that happen, that takes a chunk out of you.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
A trust chunk.
Well, but everybody walks around and they want women to be open and vulnerable and forever just like ripping their hearts open, like who wants to come on in? But like stuff like that takes time to heal and you're only in control of how it manifests itself to a certain extent.
Right.
So I really went out of my way not to take it out on anyone.
Right.
That being said, if you beat a dog enough, eventually it's not going to want to like come out of its corner.
Sure.
So...
The heart can only take so much.
For real.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And, so you meet these guys, and this is the first...
Where do you meet guys? Are you on Tinder?
No. God.
I'm sorry. Do you do a J-Date?
No.
Were you too much of a celebrity to do that?
It really... I'm just famous enough. I'm just famous enough that I don't get invited to, like, a Rolex gifting suite. But it just fucks with my life enough that it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, on a red carpet.
No, I know. I'm the same place.
But I just started a dating app. I'm not going to mention the app. But you have to, like, apply to be on it. And I did it because at a certain point... You can't keep dating people that you know, and you can't ask your friends. Nobody really cares if you date anyone. Right. So I took it into my own hands, so it's the first time in my life where I'm actually going on dates with strangers versus like a friend setup or something. Right. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I like having men to text and talk to. Yeah. And then you suss it out and you see who you like and you figure it out. Right. But honestly, because I know this is the podcast where people open up, it's something, people have given me this feedback a lot lately where they're like, wow, you got a lot of rules and you are very black and white. And I don't realize it. And I think the older I get, the harder it is to separate being a comedian from your actual, from
being a person.
But from being a person, but like, I look at your act and you and they're very similar. Right. Like it comes from you. It's not like you're up there with a banjo singing about vaginas.
Not anymore.
Right. Not anymore. Didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
But, so it's hard to turn that off. And especially, if one person criticizes you, then it's them. But if enough people saying it, and I'm like sitting here, my head is really, I'm like, what can I do to soften something that I don't even realize is coming out as harsh? Right.
Well, I mean, it's also weird too when you meet people and they know what you do, or they Google you, or they go watch your, like what they're expecting, or how do you know when people are like, you never know if people are like you because of your act or whatever. Sure. But also, I think part of it being, I hate to talk about the female comedy thing because I've had pretty good success with it. You're on the defense a lot. Right. And then so the question is, if you're not on the defense, what's going to happen? And you're like, well, someone's going to pull one over on me or someone's going to say something shitty. I mean, I have memories of walking into green rooms and no one would look at me that I hadn't met. Because male comics can be pieces of shit. But, years of that, it takes a toll on a person in terms of rigidity. And so, you try to leave it all on the stage and you try to leave it at a comedy club, but just that sort of armor that is accrued over time from doing something this difficult. It's there. I think that's there. Yeah, but like you're finding a lot of success in a business that's hard, and I think a lot of it has to do with having those experiences, walking into those green rooms with dudes that probably some of them over the course of your life aren't even funny enough to have the attitude that they have. Right. It is sort of a boys' club. There's no way around that. Sure, and. Once you get to a certain level, no one who, for the most part, the people that are my peers and more successful than me, they're not dicks. You're not a dick. Jim Jeffries is not a dick. Joe Rogan's not a dick.
because with success comes, you kind of let your
Yeah,
guard
you
down a little
did it.
bit.
You made it.
Yeah.
You made your bones. You paid your dues.
Yeah.
And you're doing well. So, there's respect, but it's a comics respect. It's not like that chick's all right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You work fucking hard.
You work hard. And so, I don't know. I don't have I love my job, and I take dates to the Comedy Store all the time.
You do?
All the time. You're going to have to see the act at some point.
Right.
And I'm not ashamed of it. And so you may as well come, but I never say you have to.
And then by the third one, they're like, don't you do any new jokes?
Oh, my God. When I was...
It's the worst. Whenever I bring my girl to the club, I'm like, I'm going to do a few of the ones you've seen. It's the act.
It's the act. Gotta work out the act.
Yeah.
I think it's so cute when they want to participate. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you know what would be funny? Or like, and because they,
You think that's cute?
I think it's cute.
My initial reaction is like, yeah, okay.
Well, what they'll do, I've noticed, and by the way, you don't have to come see my act, but I'll be like, I've got a set at 8. I can meet you for dinner before or after. I don't drink before I go on stage. So if you want to get shit-faced, we can do it after. It's always a thing.
I imagine most of them would go with after.
You know what? The older I get, the more like, I gotta be up early. I'm like, really? The thought of me taking my shirt off and making out with you half drunk doesn't appeal to you? Fine, loser.
Gotta be up early.
All of them gotta be up early, and men pass out. I don't know what this is.
Uh-huh.
Once I hit 30,
yeah,
you're mid-conversation with someone over text, no answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, I fell asleep. I'm like, this is like a diagnosed issue. Passing out. You better not be driving a vehicle. But they'll come, and then after they'll be like, I noticed who, like, they'll look around the room to, like, help out. They'll be like, I noticed who was laughing at this joke.
Right.
And I think it's endearing, and I think it's a cute way to involve yourself in something you don't know much about.
Right.
So I've never...
something you can never do.
Ever.
Yeah.
Know it.
Yeah. All right, so you go to where? So you went to Kansas University?
University of Kansas.
University of Kansas for a year?
Yeah, and I transferred to Emerson in Boston.
Emerson, the comedian school.
The fighting comic. That's our mascot.
Is it really?
It's not. It's a lion.
I knew a lot of people went to Emerson. Is it still a good school for what you wanted? What did you study?
I was a film major.
Oh, yeah? Did you make little movies?
I had a student film I had to make.
How was that received?
Pretty good. We got a good grade.
Uh-huh.
We had a lead. The lead was like a 40-year-old man. He dropped out the day before. So we just
Local Boston actor?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We just had to put a mustache on someone who was like 19. Because to us, like, mustaches were mature
Sure.
at the time.
Yeah.
And then we were like, fuck it, we'll all wear a mustache.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I don't think the film teachers there give a shit as long as you do the project.
Were there any old comics teaching there when you were there?
No.
No. So what happened? So you didn't want to pursue film? You finished Emerson, then what happened?
I don't. Well, I moved. I did a semester at sea. So I graduated early. My mom would make me take for like your gen eds. She would make me take when I would go home to Dallas in the summer. I would take my gen eds at like a community college.
What are those?
Like just like little bullshit requirements, like an arts one. So like I took like aerobics because it takes 1 credit, but that's a couple $1,000s you save your parents.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I graduated early. I did a semester at sea, so you go on a boat around the world with 600 other kids.
Really?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was amazing. They did a season of The Real World on that boat. Theo Vaughn was on that one.
Oh, really?
It was like 2 years before me or something. So you stop in like 14 countries. You get to see the world. Hammered, but you get to see the world.
Yeah.
You get to be drunk at the Taj Mahal like an idiot.
Yeah. All sweaty and hungover everywhere.
I was so sick.
You were nauseous in so many parts of the world.
So at so many holy sites. And then you come home a little bit heavier than you planned. And I did the Emerson LA program. It's famous for you move to LA and Emerson houses you and you take your last set of requirements at the Emerson LA Center and you intern in the industry. And that's why Emerson is like so prevalent in the entertainment industry.
Right. I see. So where'd you intern?
I interned at the now defunct United Artists, which is a subsidiary of MGM.
United Artists?
Uh-huh.
It's gone?
I think so. Or it was. If it might have come back. It was in Century City.
That's so sad because that was one of the first studios. Well, when did the comedy start? When that bug hit you?
So I always did like improv in high school.
Oh, really?
Improv. I was on the improv troupe.
In Dallas?
Yeah. Like I was always funny. You know, you're always funny.
Yeah.
People ask that. You don't just become funny. You are funny.
I've seen some people become funny.
Really?
In comedy? Yeah.
Like hone it, but they always had something.
I guess. There were people the people I started out with where I'm like, how is anyone ever going to laugh at this? And then somehow they click in. Because there's a difference between being naturally funny and learning how to be on stage. And there are some people that I don't think could even talk to other people that became funny on stage.
But I guess there's always an inkling there.
Sure.
Like
you want to do it.
Yeah. I knew I was going to make people laugh for a living.
Right.
So, of course, I'm in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas growing up. It's watching In Living Color and watching Saturday Night Live and Kids in the Hall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was always into characters.
Yeah.
And I did improv as a...
You did characters?
Like, I always liked watching characters.
Right.
And I liked sketch.
Yeah.
I love sketch. And I would write sketches, and we would film them in my
Really?
living room.
Yeah.
We would recreate Saturday Night Live sketches.
Really?
And all my girlfriends, they want to be lawyers and doctors, but they would come over, and I would write them.
Yeah.
And we would do, Cajun Boy and, other
do you still have these tapes?
On High 8.
Digitize those fuckers. Put them up on your site. This was when I was younger.
It was like blackmail.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then when I got to Emerson, I was in a sketch troupe.
Yeah.
We were like the cool kids, which was my first experience with that.
Yeah.
And then when I got to LA, I had done a one-man show at school. That part's boring.
What was that about?
It was
lacrosse.
No, it was just sort of whatever you're going to talk about in college.
Yeah.
If you weren't molested, then there's not a lot to talk about.
Right.
But that was and I've said this before, it was sort of my first foray from thinking in terms of a dialogue and just a monologue.
Right.
So I took a couple of those jokes.
Yeah.
When I got to LA, I was like, I'm going to do stand-up. This is the next part in an evolution.
Right.
And I did it.
How old were you?
When I moved to LA?
21?
21.
Where'd you do stand-up the first time?
Room 5.
I don't know what that is.
Above Amalfi on La Brea.
Oh, I do know that room.
With that giant glass 5.
Yeah.
And I did that. I think I had like a herpes joke and a traffic joke.
Classic.
And a pizza joke.
Oh, yeah.
Pizza joke was okay.
Got everything covered.
I know. And I did that, and then they came up to me, and the guy that was running the room, and he was like, "You're funny. Would you like to come back like next week or something?" And then I just, without any goal and without any knowledge of the workings of a comedy store, I never even heard of the Laugh Factory.
Right.
Never even been to the Improv.
Right.
I just started gathering spots and just working hard, not toward anything.
That's alt rooms.
Not even, yeah, I guess so. I guess they'd have to be.
Mike's.
And then the Improv was the first club to give me a chance and put me up and send me out to feature.
Where'd you go?
I would go to like the local, like Brea or Ontario, and it was always for black comics.
So, oh really?
So I would open or feature for black comics.
For black audiences?
Very black audiences.
Really? That was how you sort of you honed your thing?
Yeah.
Your loud thing?
My loud thing, my no fear thing.
Yeah.
Black audience will let you know very quickly.
Yeah, I know. Who were you opening for?
I opened for Mark Curry.
Yeah.
He probably would never remember it. Bill Bellamy.
Yeah.
My first thing I ever won was a thing called the MySpace So You Think You're Funny contest.
Uh-huh.
And you send in a video of your stand-up, and I won. But my prize was getting to open for Bruce at the House of Blues.
Bruce! He was on my TV show.
And there's no way he would remember it.
Yeah.
Like, whoever
Sweet guy, though.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I was not a part of the experience that night. I just
Mark Curry was a good comic, too. I haven't seen him in a long time.
He does a lot of improv at the end of his set, and he's a giant man, and he was really nice.
Yeah. Bill Bellamy, smooth.
Bill Bellamy was cool, and then he hosted my season of Last Comic Standing, so that was nice. And then I remember my first gig where they flew me somewhere was a club called Morty's. You ever been there?
In Indianapolis?
I think so.
Yeah.
And they sent me to...
I didn't go. I never been there, but I know it, yeah.
They're like known for their pork chops or something.
Right.
They sent me to feature for a comic named Todd Lynn.
Todd? I know Todd. He's dead.
He's dead. He had a baby arm.
Yeah.
Remember he had a baby arm? Tiny
yeah,
baby arm?
Todd had a lot of problems. He was really hard to deal with, but I liked him.
He wasn't rude to me, but he definitely had a chip on his shoulder.
Definitely.
It wasn't warm, but I remember... I was like, I'm in the big times now. They've flown me here.
They flew you to open for Todd Lynn.
Todd Lynn.
The cranky bastard he was, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I always liked Todd. And I saw him before he died, and he had lost his eyesight.
Jesus.
Oh God, it's just like I hadn't seen him in years. I saw him in Montreal, and he couldn't see.
That's terrible. What a horrible, slow way to go.
Oh yeah, I don't know what exactly happened, but he was a rough. He was tough on you.
He was tough, and like I even heard him. At one point muttering something, but I was like, "Oh, TV show. Where's my TV show?" It all comes from that. And in my darkest moments of anger, it all comes down to how you view your own success.
Uh-huh.
But then it really comes down to after that how you treat other people once you're done being mad at yourself.
So you do a big feature set for Todd Lynn where they flew you to Morty's.
Yeah.
And then so when did you start working at the store? When did all that start happening? So you've been doing comedy over a decade?
It's about almost 10 years. Maybe we'll go with 10. Maybe I started at like 22 versus 21.
And you fucking never stop. You work hard.
You work hard.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a comic. You weren't like trying to get acting roles.
I have. That's the other thing. I've auditioned for almost everything.
Yeah.
Huge movies, test for TV shows all the time. But it's in that weird category where I've even had people be like, we're looking for an Iliza Shlesinger type. And I'm like, or you could just give it to me.
Right.
But it's weird. One of the things that I struggle is not the word, but for a comedian, I'm good looking. And somehow that works against you.
Uh-huh.
And people, like each year, like being fat is in, or ethnic people, or girls that have red hair, you know, and I don't think the world has quite accepted that girls who look normal can be funny versus having like a hook. So that seems to be something that I deal with on a regular basis.
But you did all right with hosting and stuff.
I have a show coming out, and I hosted that one. I hosted a dating show, which is when I had my fake hair.
Right.
But, you know, we all get our, I don't know.
Well, what happened with, what was Last Comic Standing like?
Like winning it?
Yeah, did that change things?
They gave me a career.
Yeah.
I'd only been doing it for 3 years. And then I started Last Comic Standing, and then, like, literally you win, and it is up to you if you want to sink or swim.
Right.
And I had seen, like, my friends that had won it were already professional comedians.
Right.
But, you know.
Yeah, it gives a lot of people a second chance.
Second chance, and for me it was my chance, and I just took it. And
you started headlining at 3 years?
Started headlining.
Really?
I took the 45 minutes I had, and I was like, I'm just going to make this work.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's some...
That's hard.
It's hard because, and to this day, I guess I can say this, I've built my following solely on stand-up, it's a rough path. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not coming to see me because you saw me on a show.
Right.
You're coming to see me because I've been to your city a couple times and I've, like, built that audience.
Right.
That's the exhausting part.
That's old school. Going back a place 2 times a year, 3 times a year.
And that's the only way to do it.
And you got to have new jokes.
New jokes, and then people, they want to know, is it going to be new material or old material? None of your business. Just buy the ticket.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the Netflix special exponentially grew that business.
The second one or the first one?
Probably the second one.
Yeah.
Really did it.
What's that one called?
Freezing Hot. And
What was the first one called?
War Paint.
Yeah.
But you know, I look around and I don't see, sometimes I'll look at club lineups or like a theater lineup for months and I'll be the only girl on there. Uh-huh. And it's a very gritty existence. And it's
what do you mean, to live the life of a comic on the road?
I mean, you go out, and I like it. You go out every weekend.
Yep.
And to the detriment of your social life at times, maybe your love life, you know, other things like that, and you're putting in these hours, the payoff being you one day hope to have comedy that's, like, always there. Like, if I was only an actress, I'd have to move home. I've booked one acting gig ever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I have that. And it's never going to go away.
Right. No, I know that feeling. That's the way I think now.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is, I'm still a comic, even though, like, I didn't necessarily get the level of attention that I got just from doing stand-up, and now people come to see my stand-up.
Right.
Because they know me
right.
too well. But, like, when you go to Nashville, did you draw?
Yeah. Every show was sold out. I'm getting to the point now where shows are sold out weeks in advance.
Great.
It's great, and you would say a long time coming. That's totally relative. But, you know, it really is about putting in the work, and I see friends of mine, they treat comedy like a social scene, and I've never looked at it that way.
And that's the difference between you and them. And that's the difference in sometimes between, you know, understanding the job at hand. Like, it seems like you have a very practical understanding of it. Because, like, now there's a lot of people that are like, I'm a comedian. It's like, well, do you work as a comic? Not too much.
Right.
So what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I mean, you're like old school in that, like, you know that in order to make a living, you got to headline on the road.
And in order to be good at it, you know, and comics come up to me. I know they come up to you. They're like, you have any tips? I'm like, you got to get on stage.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that you're right a lot every night.
Yeah.
Sometimes with nothing to say.
Yeah.
It's like being an athlete.
Yeah.
You got to go to batting practice.
That's right.
And you have to treat it. I was talking to someone about this the other day. It's cool if your friends are there. If you know me at all, you know that I don't hang out at clubs. And I'll tell other women, I'll be like, get the fuck out of here. You don't want to be at the Comedy Store at 1 a.m.
No, it's something happens at around 11.
Yeah, people get raped. Yeah, it's like a witching hour. The
audience gets raped. Yeah. They're exhausted and brain fucked.
Totally. And, you know, that's a very special place. But in general, you want to hang out with your friends, fine. Do the work, leave. Yeah. Don't date the comics. Don't hang around. And I understand there's a networking aspect that I've totally missed out on. I fully get that.
I've dated comics. You dated a comic.
I dated one.
You learned that lesson once?
He was not a problem.
Yeah.
We were never in competition with one another.
But what was the problem with it? There was no problem?
But the problem didn't have to do with stand-up.
But like, I guess I wasn't trying to pry about your relationship, but did you sense it the way people saw you? Because that's good.
I remember one time I remember one time someone was like, she only won Last Comic Standing because she dated Brett Ernst. And I'm like, I can't wait to tell Brett how much pull he has at the network.
And he's a good guy.
No, he's great.
Yeah.
You got to do the work.
Right.
And, I'll see comics. What happens is, you come in, there's classes of comics, right? You come up with your, class, right? Yeah. And it's weird because, someone like you, we did La Jolla, I was afraid to even talk to you.
That's always shocking to me. But
sure.
I get it.
But that is
Who's in your class?
I don't know. Because of Last Comic Standing.
You jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah, and there was not even necessarily in terms of I'm better than anyone, but in terms of, I didn't come up with anyone.
Right.
Maybe a Chris D'Elia, because I remember we did La Jolla together.
That's about right, yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of people I see a lot.
Right.
But, you got to go out and you put in your work, and I see these, younger comics who will look at older comics and sort of emulate them. But they're almost emulating the energy and the attitude.
That happens for a while.
And none of the work is there.
Right. Oh, right.
And they come on stage. My biggest pet peeve is this. Come on stage. You got 7 minutes. And I come up with a beer.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, you're not Ron White. You don't need it for the pauses. Put your fucking drink down. Let's hear your jokes about being a stoner. This is not a relaxing thing. You're at work.
Well, you got to pretend that you're not afraid somehow.
Sure. Whatever you have to grip.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you got to hide behind to hide that fear. But that's an amazing work ethic, because I think that's the truth, and I think that what's happened more than anything else is a lot of people will say they're comics, and there's no indication of that. Right. Other than they've gotten on stage a few times at bringer rooms. Yeah. But to be a comic, you got to fucking do the job. And you do the job. You got to do the job. And I don't even think, if you're lucky enough to be this miserable, then you're a comic. Or you don't even know what it is. It's is it misery? I mean, you obviously have some anger issues that, you're either going to resolve or you're not. As I'm backing out of your driveway. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. I'm not scraping your car. No. But that sort of, and also that determination. But who the hell knows why you get the bug? I mean, right. Some people have and they don't. And it really determines who's going to really, chase the fucking thing down and nail it. Sure. But because it's not even an obsession. It's almost like you don't even have a choice. That's completely it. It's weird. You don't have a choice. It never occurs to us not to go do that third spot. It's weird, not to take that gig. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a drive. I feel lucky that I have that. Yeah. Because some people are like, I don't know what I want to do. I feel lucky that I have a purpose that drives me. Right. In a very weird way. But that really is what it comes down to. Well, it's great that you're getting this draw now, and that because a lot of times Last Comic Standing, you go out, and then a lot of them people they fizzle out a little bit. They get almost all of them. Right, they do that headlining year, yeah, and then they don't generate new shit or whatever, or whatever. If it's a gimmick, it dries up. But you just sort of you took it and then you kept building. It's great. It's a part of it. I mean, there's hard work. There's also luck. You never know. But some of the best comics build followings from comedy. Right. The guys who really sell the big tickets, they don't have TV shows. Joe Coy, Gary Gulman, Brian Regan. Even Gaffigan for some degree. And while I'm not in that pantheon, I still... But those are real comics. Sure. That's all comedy. Yeah. The gigs will come and go. The TV shows take forever. In the meantime, go and have your actual career. New hour every year? Every year. Yep. Which is now even difficult because Netflix is so popular. I know. There's a queue to get your special on there. So what happened with The View? How'd you get that gig? Oh, The View. How many episodes? So for people who don't know, I was on one episode. You get these gigs coming up, and you look at people who have careers, and it's he's the on TV on TV, and it's he's the fashion expert or she's the chef. Very few of us get to dictate our careers. Leonardo DiCaprio gets to cherry pick what he does and what kind of actor he wants to be. Right. For the most part, we're someone's hey, you're going to host a dating show, and you're going to be the comic that knows about dating now, and you have to work so hard to mold that. But you don't want to turn down the opportunity, because I used to get those, and sometimes they don't fit, and your manager convinces you that it'll be a good experience, because you're going to be on TV, you're going to learn how to read prompter, or whatever, you're going to learn the skill of hosting, and they kind of sell you on this idea that no exposure is bad exposure, and then you do these things and you look at it, you're like, what the fuck? What was that? It wasn't even being funny. What do I pay you for? Right. I was just sitting there, and I think, at least in my head, I always think I can make something funny. I always think I can make it You good. Underestimate the power of a shitty show. I really did, editing. And so I always take a thing, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I could make that. Make it my own. Honestly, every time you make it your own. Right. Except for The View. Right. It was I took a meeting. I had this whole thing. I wrote a pilot for ABC, and so they wanted to keep me in the in the family, and all these meetings. And
the executive there who doesn't work there anymore took a meeting. I was very excited. I wore a button down. And he was like, let's get you one, because they were trying out guest hosts with their panels. Like, come on The View. And I want a late night talk show. It's what I've wanted from the get-go. And the only reason I have a podcast is so I can work on listening to people.
Right.
And so I was like, daytime talk show, and I always love the effervescence of daytime variety shows.
Yeah, no, they're great.
And I was like, I think I'll be good. I think it could work.
Right.
And I was so excited, and I just bought a house, and like in my most vulnerable moment, I'm like, oh my God, I just bought this house and I'm going to have to move to New York because I'm going to be so good at The View. Yeah. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have to be bi-coastal. Like, I'm planning this out and they fly me there. I get to The View and my agent's there and I get there. It's a big shot. It's a big shot, and it's a show watched by at least 15 overweight black women at noon during the day. So I get there and they give you like 40 topics, and I research all of them because I'm not about to look stupid in this segment.
Do you overwork?
Well, I just made sure I was prepared. Right. For some of them. And a lot of them are opinion-based. So, and honestly, what they're talking about, there's never anything polarizing for the most part.
Who are they?
It's Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
It's Rosie Perez.
Yeah.
There was this white woman named Nicole Wallace, who was like the Republican. And it was Raven Simone. So, I get there. Do you know Raven Simone?
Is she what does she do?
She was on that when she was a kid. She had that show, That's So Raven. She was the little one on the Cosby Show. She was the
okay.
So I get there. I'm very excited. I don't like them.
And they're regulars.
They are the regulars.
Right.
Raven Simone was not, and that's why this is important. So I get there, and they say, well, you're here on kind of an interesting day. And I'm like, oh God, why can't this just be...
Yeah. Interesting.
Today is the day that we announce Raven Simone will be a permanent cast member. And I'm like, okay, not sure, because she had been like filling in.
She got the job you were supposed to be.
In a way. And I'm like, okay, it was great for her, so maybe there's whatever. So
you want me to just go home?
So they go, you have an option. You can either be out on the stage with the ladies as a cast member when we introduce Raven and like welcome her as a permanent member, or we can welcome Raven and we're going to have like confetti, it's going to be cute, and then we'll have you come out. And I said, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, to shit on her party.
Right. I'll do whatever you want. I'm just trying to be easy and congenial. So we go over the topics. I tried talking to Whoopi Goldberg. She really wasn't having it. I went over to her and I was like, hey, I watched your documentary on Mom's Mabley, and I think that, and I was just like, I loved it. I saw it on the plane.
Yeah.
And I was like, how was that for you? And she just looked at me. She goes, well, I liked it. And I was like, oh. Like, here I am, I'm a female comic, trying to talk to a female comic.
Did you say you liked it?
I did say I liked it. I was like, I really enjoyed it. And and I was like, I think I asked, like, how did it do?
Yeah. Right.
And she goes, well, I liked it, which is code for it didn't make any money.
Right.
But it was such like an icy thing. And I'm like, fine, who knows? And I'm in her space, and I'm cool. So I say, I'll do whatever you guys want. So they go, okay, you know what? We're going to have you out there when we announce the show. You'll walk out there with the ladies, and we'll have Raven come on later. So they start the show. They're like, it's The View. The audience warm-up guy, everyone's applauding. So I come on stage. What's her name? Whoopi Goldberg's like, all right. Welcome to The View. Okay. And I'm like, all right, she's going to say my name. It's going to be amazing. Let's get started. Today's a big day. And I'm sitting there. I'm sitting at that panel.
Raven's done. They've done the Raven.
She's not there yet. Raven's not there yet. Because I said they wanted me to come out with the panel. Today's a big day. I'm like, they're going to say it. I'm a guest host on The View. Raven Simone is a permanent host. Confetti comes down. Yeah. I'm standing there. No one has said my name. No one has introduced me. And I'm just clapping. She comes out. She hugs us. Still, no one knows who I am. And she came out. She brought us each food. She goes, I don't do gifts. I give food. And backstage, some PA was like, what's your favorite food? And I was like, I guess I like bacon. She goes, Iliza, I know you love bacon. I'm like, I don't fucking know you. And she just gives me this thing of bacon.
Yeah.
So we all sit down. I'm like, okay, now Whoopi's going to announce me. Whoopi's like, all right, let's get to the first topic. She wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't say my name. No one knows who I am. And there's 5 of us just sitting there. And every single topic, they either would like ice me out and not acknowledge me, or if I made a joke, they would like try to point out why I was wrong. No one knows my name at this point. Still, no one has said this is Iliza Shlesinger.
Oh my God.
To the point where, and then the commercial would come up, no one would look at me. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what did I do? I wanted to be a part of this, and I was so excited. And someone made a joke about the cloud, right? And the joke about the cloud is that no one knows how it works. They made a movie about it. And so I made a joke. They're like, oh, we stored in the cloud. This is one of the stories. And I go, right, because everyone knows how the cloud works. And Nicole Wallace goes, well, there are settings. I'm like, that's your
Yeah.
That's your input. There are settings. That's what. And that was it. And the segment ended, and no one would look at me. No one would talk to me.
And you were there for the whole show?
I was there for the panels in the morning, and then they each do. Then they had to move on to their pressing 8-minute segment about oatmeal. That came next.
Right.
And I walked out of the building. Like, the next step would have been security escorting me out. None of the producers would say goodbye. None of the women said goodbye.
What the fuck happened?
I have no idea. And
what'd your agent say?
I was livid. The angry one. I walk outside. I don't do a bad job. Right. You watch, if I go on a game show, I go on things like, it's fun and you have fun and they have you on because you're a funny person for a living. I've never done a bad job. I've never let anyone down like that. I consider myself pretty professional. And I'm almost in tears, but I don't want that to happen. And my agent's like, I don't know what that was. I'm so sorry. I have no idea. I get a call from the producer. He goes, well, that didn't go well. And I'm like, why are you saying that to me? I did my job and I didn't do anything.
And no one introduced you.
Nothing. He goes, yeah, here's what I think. I think you don't come back tomorrow. And I was like, can I keep the hotel room?
Did they let you?
Yes. You don't come back tomorrow. We're going to have you back in a couple weeks. And I'm listening to him, and I would have come back the next day just because I don't want to back down from anything. Right. But I sincerely asked him, I go, let me ask you this. In a couple weeks, will Nicole Wallace be any more relevant? Will Rosie Perez be any smarter? And will Whoopi Goldberg be less of a bitch to me? The answer is probably no. And then the show completely unraveled and he got fired. But
really?
It was, I think those women, everybody gets jealous of
how long
about
ago was
that? This was a couple months ago. I think I was hurt because I understand someone's younger than you or funnier. Of course there's a competition thing, but especially as like another woman on a show that's supposed to be all about women.
Yeah.
They were so cold. And
you don't think it had anything to do with the exchange with Whoopi initially?
No, because I came up and I said I liked her documentary, and that was it.
That's so weird, because this is one thing about show business that bothers me, is that there's a lot of things going on we don't know about when we walk into situations.
Yeah.
I mean, probably what happened was they'd given fucking Raven that job already.
Yeah.
And they didn't know who it was going to be, but she must have done something right, and then they negotiated that deal, and you were still on the books, and they didn't see any reason not to have a guest host.
Sure.
But whatever they were up to was probably over.
I think there's that. There's also, I know that some people don't want to be on the show. The show isn't doing well. I think I walked into a storm.
Right.
So I didn't take it as personally, but that being said, like, if you're, and I've had this happen once or twice where you're a guest on a show and the host, for whatever reason, is having a bad day.
Yeah.
And then they make you pay for it. And you're like, look, you invited me here.
Yeah.
And that's tough because...
And it's a live show. You really could have fucking done something.
I could have said some F-bombs. It's one of those moments where, as a professional or as a sane person, you're like, look, I'm not gonna yell at you and be like, hey, Whoopi, you're wearing socks with sandals, you maniac. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna walk away quietly and then go on a large podcast and talk about it. But there are those moments in Hollywood where you really, like, you could make a name for yourself by going batshit crazy. Right. Or you could just be professional and walk away and no one will ever see that episode. Yeah. It's a decision. It's a line in the sand.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Good for you for making the decision.
I didn't even draw the line. I just went home.
You just went home. You could have been the chick that said fuck and lost her mind on The View.
I don't think I'm that person. Like, I don't think I'm the person that has the freak out.
I've had freakouts, but not like that.
No.
Usually at home in front of people I love.
Right. Not as epic.
No.
Just like a nightly occurrence.
Well, what do you do with all this fucking, I guess, I don't know, it seems like, we talk a lot about anger, but like on a day-to-day basis, do you experience it, or are you just like keeping your nose to the grindstone?
I'm angry all the time. I'm angry and frustrated all the time. And the only thing that sort of curbs it is the fact that it's funny. Like, if I'm angry, something funny is going to come out of it.
Yeah, I know that one. Angry or sad, pain or anger, generates a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And so...
But what's the source of it generally?
I don't know. Maybe just a general frustration.
Like, like at Starbucks or wherever you go for coffee, you're like, God damn it. Like that?
It has to do with, I feel social contracts get broken a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Like, I was on the plane today. And now, look, the only one being harmed by this is me.
Right.
I don't take it out on people. I don't snap.
Except yourself.
Except myself.
Right.
But what are you going to do?
And you might make people uncomfortable because you're stewing.
Just ever stewing.
Yeah, right. Like people are like, what's her problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you just come up to me, I'm very nice. Like, I would never take it out on someone.
Well, what about these social contracts?
Social contracts. So, like, today I'm on the plane.
Yeah.
and the woman in front of me, it's a husband and a wife, and they have a baby.
Yeah.
I understand. Babies cry. Nothing you do about it.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping, and all of a sudden, I hear very loud the alphabet song coming from the woman's iPad.
Right.
She's playing it for the kid.
Right.
Put fucking headphones on your kid.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So the kid's not crying, so you're going to make everyone listen to the alphabet song?
Yeah.
Things like that where people just, like, I try not to have much of a carbon footprint or social footprint, and I try not to, like, let my thoughts, like, hurt anyone or my actions. That is so fucking rude.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one paying for it because I have to now hear the alphabet song.
And lock into it. Cool.
Yeah.
And just let it just destroy you.
It and so you breathe through it, but then, like, so she's ignorant, but if I say something, then I'm at fault because she didn't do it deliberately, but I would be saying something deliberate. So then I'm the bad person.
Right.
What do you do? And these things happen, you know, it's easy to say let it go, but like I don't get mad in traffic or anything. It's little things like that where it's like in your space.
Yeah, like...
You have to understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Okay.
But I do get mad in traffic. Even though I know that's something I have absolutely no control over, I still think it's an injustice somehow.
Right.
And it's my shit luck. And
it's just you.
Well, that's it. Is it I have to go back to something when I first got sober, and my second wife, who was a comedian, I'd get mad about something, and she would go, just like your whole fucking life, right? Oof. But it was, the point was, it's like, a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with you. Because sometimes I'm like, I feel okay. I'm not mad and I can make those choices. There's some party you get something out of being angry. Yeah. I'm not sure what it is, and it's not a good thing, but you get something.
There's some endorphin, there's some good chemical released. Because if it was legitimately anger, because these all sound...
But you're not miserable.
No, of course we all have bad days.
No, but I mean, you're not sad.
No, I don't have depression, and I'm not sad.
Right, so there's some part... Huh?
Just anger.
I know, but where does that come from? I mean, I can't always track it. I have it. But it's upsetting. So what do you think's going to make you be able to be like, all right, I did it?
I did it? I would like... Well, I haven't had the thing. I haven't had, the one thing.
Yeah.
Tiny steps. I want a late-night talk show.
Yeah.
And I've made...
Or an afternoon talk show.
I think I've been banned from the world of daytime. Especially after this airs, they're definitely never having me back. I've made maybe 5 pilots for that.
Uh-huh.
People don't see that. That's the other thing.
They don't see the pilot.
People don't see your efforts.
Yeah.
They come up to you, why aren't you on any shows? Why aren't you in a movie?
Oh,
You're like,
that's my whole career.
Fucking try it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my father thought I was doing anything of any importance until Obama was here.
Oh my God, that was a real red letter day for you.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah.
But people don't see that, and they come up to you and they ask you these questions that are so
they don't they don't know what we do for work.
They don't know.
Right.
And even to look at me and be like, you work hard, it's like that's the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
They don't see you or other comics running to 3 auditions, 2 meetings, flying home early to get some sleep so you can go to another meeting.
Several
to set up
pilot deals that don't go anywhere.
Everything. Yeah. Nobody sees any of that. And a lot of times that's what funds most of your day.
Sure.
Career.
Yeah.
I want a late night talk show. And I think that would make me happy.
Yeah.
I'm very happy when I'm actively working.
Right.
Or just really
And there's something frightening, as much as we, and even with me, because when I started this podcast, there's something frightening there's something frightening and beautiful about knowing you always have stand-up. Because sometimes when you're like, well, if everything else goes away, at least I have my stand-up. But if you really look down that tunnel,
it's an ugly tunnel.
Sometimes.
Room service.
Yeah, and just sort of like how long can you keep your audience? What happens? It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's comforting and terrifying.
Right.
It's like Stockholm syndrome. And
it is.
Yeah.
So what do you got in the pipe right now? Do you got something going on?
So that's the other thing. I'm always reticent to, and I will happily say them, to talk about things. We live in a town where everyone's always lying. Mm-hmm. And I never want to be that person.
Right.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when you see like an Instagram picture and someone will be like a picture of them on set and be like, stay tuned for next year, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off. Show me the listing on the TV Guide channel. If it's not there, it's not a thing.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Well, thanks.
You work hard.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Don't we have the same manager?
Do we?
With Avalon?
Yeah. I don't think I had an agent for a long time. I mean, I had a manager that would get favors from agents, but I don't think I actually had an agent. I do now.
Probably save more money that way.
Well, yeah, I don't. You know, they'd send me out on one audition and then be like, do I have an agent? I don't know if I have an agent.
Yeah. That makes it almost sound cooler that you don't know. I'm just so...
Well, no, I guess it was cool. It was always frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, like, I just must really suck. Like, cause it always felt like they'd send me out on 2 auditions and I wouldn't get anything and it would be over.
That would be it.
But now in retrospect, I know exactly what was happening.
It was you.
No, it was just sort of like no one knew what to do with me. And Dave Becky would be like, can you do me a favor and like take Mark on? And they'd be like, let's try it out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but ultimately it had to end. And nothing happened for me until after that ended.
Looking back, that's such a crazy, long story. Like your personal journey.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was with fucking Becky for 20 years.
And by the way, like, we should all get awards for sticking it out. Like, good for you for not moving home to Chicago to start a family.
Unfortunately, when I looked over all my options, you know, when shit got bad, there weren't any.
What's it going to say?
It was like, you know, it's like, what am I going to do? I'm fucking 20 years into this.
Yeah, I'm in deep.
What the fuck am I going to do?
So you're like, I will settle Eagle Rock. I will be a pioneer in Highland Park.
Well, no, it was like, sort of like, how do you disappear? Because the pride element of it, which I think you have too, is like, if things aren't working out, there is no plan B, and you don't even know if your pride can handle that. I mean, imagine if you have to survive, you'll figure out a way, but what a fucking heartbreaking bit of business that would have been.
You'd have to move to the woods and work in a general store.
Or just get a face change.
Yeah.
Get it.
I would dye if something happened and I couldn't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I would move to the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. And I would dye my hair black and I would wear glasses and I would work in like a craft store. Yeah.
So you see, we have the same exit strategy.
You're my manager.
Yes.
It's a craft store.
Well, thanks for doing it. It's good talking to you.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
That's it. That's the show. She's intense. She's a lively, funny woman. I was glad I had her on. Go watch her show. It's Separation Anxiety. Premieres March 8th on TBS. You can watch my special, More Later, on Hulu or Amazon Prime starting today. You can go to WTFpod.com for all your WTF pod needs. Got a bunch of posters up there. I seem to be in the poster business. There's a lot of posters. You can get on the mailing list. You can leave comments if you have an identity on Facebook so I know who you are. You know, do the stuff, listen to the podcast, get pushed through a link to howl.fm for the archives. Now I think I'll play a little guitar.